Yeah, so I'll start this today's video, the 22nd of March. Just finished my 9 kilometer interval run. Very lovely run. It was a bit of a cooler day today. I got in reverse because I would prefer to show the surrounds of where I'm at. And right now I'm at the Hadfield Park, parked outside here. So this is me in this area. A few people parked having lunch. And the topic of today's topic is going to be about barefoot running and my experience with barefoot running, which I've been doing for about almost 9 years, almost 10 years actually. So it's 9 years now. I started back what have been 2013, and the way I started it, and the reason for getting into barefoot running, is that I've read a lot and I've actually watched a show on David Suzuki where they said it's far healthier to be in direct contact with our planet, with our terraforma. So anyways, I'm gonna come sit down here in a nice little area, Milton. One of the, as I mentioned, this is Hadfield Park. You know, the famous astronaut. The park was named after that guy. And why I got into barefoot running, as I mentioned, it was a David Suzuki show where they were talking about how Kenyans and Ethiopians are fantastic long distance runners, and that a lot of them actually run bare feet. And then we in the West have gotten used to running shoes and all kinds of different shoes for walking, but it actually turned out not to be very good for our feet because it took away all the little tendons. We never got to exercise our tendons, all the many muscles that's inside the foot, inside each foot. So getting back to barefoot running is actually quite a challenge when a person like myself has done 26 marathons, and every single one of them was in what I now call foot coffins. And everyone that takes up, apparently this is a commonly used term among people that have turned to barefoot running. They actually call it the old shoes that they used to run in, they call it foot coffins, because it's so bad on your feet. It weakened, your feet get weakened, you count on the support, the cushioning, and and then it takes all those years of running in those foot coffins. From my own experience, I got a lot of injuries, I must be honest. And the other thing is, as I got older, I found, not even younger, I used to twist my ankles a lot, and it was like tremendously painful. This twisting of the ankle story. And sometimes I would have to take a few days off from twisting my ankles. Now, since I've gone barefoot, or started, gotten into barefoot shoes and barefoot running, I would say I don't twist my ankle anymore, not at all. But I would say that my injury rate has gone down by like 90%. So yeah, and then I'm going to tell you the progression of my barefoot running. I first started out on grass, like this, grass like this. I went to a soccer field at Hydrofield in Mississauga. That's where I started out. I did a few laps around there. I would go, I was a pretty good runner by that point in time, but I would go like 5 minutes of running bare feet on grass, and then walk a couple of minutes, and then go again 5 minutes. And before even embarking on using barefoot shoes, and then the first barefoot shoes that I used was called Vibrams. I think it was, yeah, Vibrams gloves for feet. And again, that was about 9 years ago when I got my first pair of Vibrams. It's a 5-finger, or some people call it gloves for feet, toe shoes, whatever. And when you buy a pair of those, you also get instructions on how to warm up your feet. Because obviously your tendons and everything, like I mentioned earlier, that it's all weakened because of you've gotten used to not only the shoes, your general walking shoes, your general everyday shoes, but running shoes are very, very bad for your feet actually. Although it gives you a lot of cushion, some people it's okay for, they don't get as much injuries, but others like me, I was injury prone, and as I mentioned, as soon as after 18 months of getting used to them, I just never got injured again. Initially, I very rarely got injured. I still get some soreness and stuff like that, but injuries, no, almost a thing of a past with me. But where was I? I'm just a little distracted. The police officer over there. So where was I about the injuries? And then a whole lot less injuries. And then a couple of summers, I got used to it. Oh yeah, the point I wanted to bring up was that it took me a really long time to get used to running in gloves for feet. Took maybe, like I said, 18 months. And the biggest problem I used to get was my Achilles. It just got tremendously sore. It was like as stiff as a really, really stiff Achilles tendon. But eventually, I used to ice it and stretch it. After quite a while, it went away. And then I just got used to running bare feet. And the thing about running bare feet is that it's a completely different style of running. If you look at my old style of running and some of the pictures which I'm going to post on my blogs and probably on the website and stuff, is to show you one of the marathons I ran when I did particularly well. I ran a 2:28 marathon in Ottawa, and shows me coming over the line, and my feet will really hit the ground at a very, very bent angle. So I was like a real heel striker, but at a funny angle. It's like, and since that's why it took so long for me to train to run in barefoot shoes, because you have to learn to run on your toes. And it took me that long to do it. But now, here we are 9 years later, and I've been through several different running types of barefoot shoes, even barefoot sandals. We started out with Vibrams, gloves for feet. And so then once I started in the gloves for feet, I would go through the winter and at least keep those Vibrams on. Obviously, it gets very cold, and then they even sold 5-toe socks that you could use, and I got used to that as well. It was better for the winter, but of course, I wasn't paying attention to the fact that in between the toes, it actually got quite cold, and it was very cold in the to run barefoot with barefoot shoes in the winter, even with the socks on, with the 5-glove socks, the glove socks. So when it got to summer, I would sort of toss it aside and attempt to run, start out a few minutes at a time or a kilometer at a time, running completely bare feet, so that my calluses would form. And eventually, like throughout the summer, I would be totally bare feet. And I went 2016, 17, and 18 summers of those years completely bare feet. I gave that up because the final year, 2018, I actually stubbed my toe twice that year. My God, it was a tremendous pain. I broke my toe twice on each foot. And then I decided, no more completely bare feet. It's better to have at least some protection. Okay, and then one time I came across a manufacturer. Someone was manufacturing barefoot sandals, and I got interested in this, and I thought, hell, who the hell runs in sandals? But then I took a look into it, and I actually asked if I could import it, and of course that didn't go very well. But then eventually I just decided to buy a couple of pairs from these people. Um, they've even been on the Dragon's Den. But I bought a couple of pairs of the various types of barefoot sandals, and this is what attracted me to. Well, it made me got noticed by a guy by the name of Prashil Gopal, and he's a South African kid. His parents are South African. I think he was born in Canada, in Ottawa. He stopped by while I was running on the beach strip in Burlington, and he mentioned, "Hey, I've got a pair of those too. You're the first person I've ever seen running in those." And I thought, wow, that's it. Introduced each other, got to know him. We're now Facebook friends. I got to know him a little bit, and then he invited me to come out to the park run that was hosted by Burlington. It took me a few months, and eventually I went around to the park run. And of course, going to the park runs, he was the only barefoot guy there, so he was well known for being the barefoot guy. And then he drags me along to the park run. This guy's multiplying, and he's bringing other people with him. I'm going to finish this video inside my car now, because it's just going to finish it in the car. So then I went to the barefoot sandals, and then, like I say, there were 3 or 4 different types. The types that I ordered all of them, all different types. You get the one version that you can do at home. What you call the home assembly kit. A little bit cumbersome. You have to cut out the feet to your, the sole to your own feet. I didn't bother getting around to that. Although Prashil did it quite a lot. He was a pretty frugal guy. He liked to be, do things on the cheap. But he was kind of a lot like me in that way, but a younger version. And after that, I went, of course, then it got, when it got to winter, you can't go run in sandals, fuck you. Yes, you do have those sandals, and your feet get way too wet when it's like wet, sloshy days. It's like, forget about it. You just come home with frozen feet, and you worry that you might have frostbite. Anyway, so yeah, from there, Zero Shoes started making actual shoes, which were basically zero drop barefoot shoes, which I bought a pair of, and I got used to that real quick, and I found that my feet are a lot toasty warm. I could go out and run barefoot in the middle of winter, no problem. The only thing is the traction on those. That's the only thing I still have is the issue with the traction. And then I came across Zero started making a pair which was cross trainers, which had better grip on them. Now, you gotta be careful of that grip, because you get too used to the grip, and you, like I did the other day, I actually fell so hard, and I again fractured a tailbone of mine, because I was too confident that those trail runners were they were actually a little worn out, no longer had the studs on them. So yeah, you have to be careful. And now I want to head on. When I was running barefoot, when I was running with the sandals, and even with the 5-fingered shoes, you'd actually get the occasional person ridiculous. What the hell are you doing? So, one woman actually stopped me and said, "How are you running that?" She was Chinese. "How are you running that? You must be careful. You're gonna get hurt." I was like, "Who the hell is this woman?" I said, "I've been doing this for years. I know what I'm doing. I've been running for years." But thanks for the concern. Anyway, so when I switched to the Zero shoes, it got a lot better, because nobody even knew the difference. They just thought, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just running in any kind of, it's actual running shoes. Anyway, so yeah, that is my little chat about barefoot running and my experience with it today. And I'm going to end this video now, because it's just one of the very first ones that I might post to YouTube. I might also transcribe some of my videos to explain things better, show pictures of the shoes and stuff like that. This is the start of what I'm going to be doing as a publisher, of my first book, Stay Young Longer, Stay Healthy for Life. Yeah, Stay Young Longer. Yeah. What is it? I can't even remember the name of my damn book. Stay Young Longer, Stay Healthy for Life. a lifestyle choice anyone can choose. Anyway, yeah, so that's the end of this tape. Maybe a little bit long. It's gone on to 15 minutes, but okay. So that's it for today. Till the next tape. See you later.